Hello and welcome back. This is Sherri with Heart and Soulful. I'm in the studio today with lots of goodness. So if you're just joining me for the very first time, welcome. I hope if you enjoy this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and click on subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. If you'd like a notification, click on the little bell and you'll get a notice when I post something new. So today I am kind of doing a part 2 of my thrift store find. I showed a large bag, shopping bag full of linens and trims and that sort of thing. And so I hadn't gone through it since I was back, and I thought I need to go through this bag, and I'm unpacking and I want to sort everything and kind of get it organized so I can find it when I need it. So I wanted to share what I found, how I've sorted my things. I'll kind of have to figure out where I'm going to put everything, but I think I'll, keep it kind of sorted and share some ideas with that. And then maybe even some ideas that I have about how I'm going to use all this stuff. And then again, I may be putting together some bundles to share with you too. So I'm getting quite a collection, and I don't know if I can, keep it all and hoard it for myself. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to start with the little things, I think, and kind of go from there. So I've got quite the mess here on my desk. But first thing is there were some little bundles of things tied with different little laces. And I haven't, kind of gone through each one of these individually yet. But there were just lots of little bundles of small little snippets. And there were a couple of bigger pieces that could be nice for pockets. I'll kind of show you maybe in here, but we can always use these, even this tiniest little pieces of things. So in my Bodhi journal is my grungy journal that I am working now on volume 2. But I wanted to show you where I've used some kind of little lacy things like that. They're great for the tops of tags to use. So even those little bits, a lot of people would throw those out, but when you do paper craft and junk journaling and all that sort of slow stitching, all that sort of thing, you find uses for just the tiniest little scraps. So even just a little tab pull for my little people hiding here in the church windows. And then I also did another piece in here for a pocket where you can use some of the wider. This was a super wide piece, but even things this kind of width can be a little tuck on the side of a pocket or along the edge kind of thing. So you'll find lots of uses, but don't throw away those little bits and pieces. So I've got a few decent widths that'll be nice, and then lots of little tiny pieces. So those will probably go. I do keep a little drawer right here in front if I can get it out. I've got so much other junk on my desk. But this is where I throw like little tiny scraps of things that I like to dig through string and stuff like that. So I like to keep a few little small pieces handy right on my desk in a little kind of those. One of these days I'll do a tour of my studio when I get it kind of cleaned up, but it's kind of one of those little plastic clear drawers, a whole bunch of different size ones for like hardware and that kind of thing. So this may or may not fit in there. Probably the little teeny tiny pieces, some of the bigger ones, I'll go ahead and put on my little cards that I've made, some of the decent size, little bits, and put them here, and I store them in my sewing machine drawers. So those will go away. Now, this is a teeny tiny bit, but this is to me slow stitching gold. Little tiny bits. There weren't very many, but these I'm going to hoard and use in my slow stitching. But they're just so pretty. I mean, this is just half of a collar, I think, a little lace collar. And it's just so pretty. So just even cutting out these little bits and adding them in my slow stitch. So that'll be fun, that one. And then this one too. Now I've watched Sarah Roxburgh on Roxy's Journal of Stitchery cut apart little flowers and little pieces like this. And I was always envious that she had those pretty laces. I didn't have anything like that. So this will also be really pretty to even just cut apart the little parts for slow stitching. So that is another piece of gold. And then this was pinned together too, another little collar kind of thing that had been damaged. And again, it's got these great little pieces that can be, you know, cut out little leaves and little circles. And then even this part still has some embroidery on it. So another great thing for slow stitching. You know, you kind of see these odd shaped things and wonder, you know, what you would do with them. But I look at them as each little individual part that can be cut up. And then this, again, was like a square border of something. And I just love it. It just is screaming to me to be on like the corner of a book or something like that, you know, or even just cut out that little part and then use this other little netted part, you know, for little tabs or that kind of thing. So to me, these were screaming. These go into maybe a box of little slow stitching scraps. So I have in the past, before I went through this bag that I got today, I do have a little basket that has some different things, but now it's getting full. So I need to go through and do the same thing with it and with all my lacy kind of things, and maybe sort them into, these would be perfect for slow stitching. These would be perfect for the tops of tags and that sort of thing, and kind of start organizing them that way. This was also in the skinny lace category. It was a huge, this bolt, I don't have no idea how much is on here. I mean, it's such skinny lace, you know, it's a lot. And it was just kind of this wadded up mess. So I kind of went and just cut everything off. And so it was, I have a lot of links that are in the yard range or at least a few feet. And I'll put this aside and deal with that when I have used up this. But I already started in my last video doing some dyeing. This is a video that I'm uploading right now that I rusted some metal pieces and then used the liquid that was left over to distress my lace. So I have a lot of that I'll have to get on cards and organize, and then some, I'll tea stain some, maybe even dye some colors just so I have it already done ahead. So I'll have some of that. And then that, there's so much of it that I can share that, I think, with anyone. And then this was really pretty too. It's really just kind of a blushy pink color. And again, it's a floral border, a lace border, and there's a fair amount of that too. So that's just going to be really pretty for belly bands to do on the edge of a paper. I could, you know, cut them apart and just put them onto some tags, you know, little mini pockets for tickets and that kind of thing. All kinds of little stuff for this. So that was another great lace find. And then again, in that kind of trim category, I have all of these pieces that I just love. So a lot of these, it looks like came off of, they actually have some of the fabric still attached. They're little crocheted or tatted borders that would go on maybe the edge of a pillowcase, something like that. So there's lots of these, and I'll just kind of go through. Oh, I did want to show this one. In case you find things that were like the border of a tablecloth or something, and you can see that this was embroidered right to the item, whether it was the edge of a sheet or something. They actually, it's not sewed on separately, and whoever was taking this apart didn't know that, I guess. And so they had actually, for this section of it, started cutting all of these to take it off of that fabric. And you don't really want to do that because it was actually, it's not stitched on after, it's actually embroidered right onto the item, I think. And so what'll happen is it'll all start unraveling. But this will still be good, you know, to put as tabs, you know, do them individually would be cute on the edge of a page for slow stitching for sure. And then you just end up kind of burying this little part, you know, covering it up with a piece of tape or another strip of lace or fabric or whatever. So it's all still usable, but I just wanted to point that out that, you know, before you take it off, just cut it off and leave the fabric until you know what you're going to do with it, because then you can always kind of fold over a little bit, maybe leave more than just, you know, this kind of stuff, so that you can, in your slow stitching, you can just fold that under and then add it on. So I'm kind of glad on a lot of these other pieces, more of the fabric was left, but there's quite a bit of this one. And then let's see, some colored ones too are really pretty. This little kind of blue variegated one. And some of them are straight, like they were done on the edge of a sheet or a tablecloth. And then some of them were on kind of, this one again is a straight one, pink and white. And again, this one you can see it was stitched right onto that. So you just have to kind of look at how they're put on. This one's really pretty too. But see how they left a good amount of this fabric on here? It makes it easier. Oh, look, I love this. It's just a cute little patched hole. So how cute is that? Just a hand patch. Now that's fun. You know, even those, I always like seeing how, even like pottery and things, how they maybe wired in a patch, that sort of thing, patched cracks. So that's always kind of fun. They actually even just left a little bit of the embroidery on it. I wish there was more, but I can even use just those little bits, and slow stitching will be pretty, or on a page, on a tab, that sort of thing. And this one is nice. And this one, lots, I'll just kind of, this was on the edge of a pillowcase, but that's really pretty too. I can see that I need to do lots of slow stitching in my life, or adding fabric to books. This would be really pretty on the edge of a cover. You know, I think I'm going to start, just because I'm learning the slow stitching, start incorporating more fabric bits to my journals. Just because that's kind of, I have a wide variety of crafts and things in my background, and sewing is one of them. So if you're wanting to reflect your personality, you know, kind of mesh all those things together. So this is a really pretty one that they actually took, I've never seen this, where they actually took a piece of rickrack and then joined the rickrack to the fabric with crochet. That's really pretty. That'll be a special one I have to hoard. This I love because even though it's old, it just kind of has that modern shape to it with all the circles. Now this one may have been, this one you could take off, I think, because it looks like it was stitched on after the fact. It's like a trim that was stitched on instead of actually crocheted to the item. So you can kind of see when that's, you can kind of see here where the threads are pulling apart. So that one I could actually cut off of it, and then none of this is going to unravel. So that'll be a fun one to keep too. And then this one is, oops, I'm all tangled up here. This one's a pretty good size. I'm trying to find a wavy one. So this one is still straight too. That one's really cute. Oh, and it goes around a corner. But this one also was just a trim that's stitched on, so that one could come off. They came in bundles kind of like this, so you never knew how long things were going to be. But this is another one. This one was crocheted right to the item, so that one you would not want to take that off. But that's a nice big piece, kind of already an ecru color. And then what do we have here? Another one. These bundles. That one, again, crocheted right to the thing, so you wouldn't want to take that off. And another one. This is a pretty pattern. I need to iron some of these out. Some of these larger ones, which I'm going to show you a whole category of things I bought just because they have a wide pattern that will be good for tea staining paper, you know, using that as an imprint, a doily kind of print, or even on your gel plate. I've done some lace on gel plate, and the wider, more open patterns work the best. So this one, actually, I'm going to have to cut a piece the size of my gel plate and use that. So that'll be fun too. Just to get some of these borders, you know, those would transfer on a gel plate too. And doing like eco dyeing kind of transfers just out in the sun. So yeah, that's another pretty one that would be nice. And then this one too, all these little flowers, those could even be taken apart for slow stitching projects too. So that's another pretty one. And what do we have here? I thought I had unbundled everything. But see, then I have all these little short pieces that they were tied with to use for tabs. Another little one. This is a really petite one. And then this one I won't bother to undo. Another one. Again, this one was crocheted right to it. And I thought some of these were on a curvy. I guess this one is more. So this one you can kind of see the actual, if I lay it out here maybe better, the actual edge of the fabric was curvy. So I'm not sure how I'll end up using that. But again, this one was crocheted right to the edge. So you want to kind of keep that curve in there. So we'll see what I could maybe do with that. And then this one is a short piece, but a nice width. And I'm not sure what I'll do with that, but that also could be something jelly printed or on the edge of a book. Again, glued down would be really pretty. Removing that part even maybe. Let's see. So, or the edge of a bag. You know, I might be making a nice slow stitch carry-all. I've been carrying it back and forth in a basket, but I can always use totes for different things, you know, to travel with. And this one again was another one that there's a corner turned in it, but with a little bit of color, really tiny. So that was my edges. So I have a whole sorted of edges that can go onto some things. And then the other category that I did was doilies, and two kind of different ones. Ones that I might want to cut the pieces apart. So I started out with this one because I love having, I left this one big because this would, I might want a whole section, you know. Maybe I want to do a piece, you know, more than, I mean, you could do a whole cover like that if you wanted. But I kind of like taking them apart and just having them be a little embellishment on something or on a slow stitching project. So I did cut a couple apart, but I'm kind of tempted to leave these intact because maybe I want 4 or, you know, 8 or the whole thing, or maybe I want a strip and I still want them to be attached. So I'm going to leave those together, I think. But they're going to go into a basket of, these can be cut apart and used as little embellishments. And then these I did, oh, there's another one. These are little doilies that I will leave whole, but they were, oh, you know, once I iron them out, and I could tea stain them or not. But these also are fun to have as, you know, embellishments on a book, on the spine or on the cover, or, you know, do half of it on the front, half of it on the back. For slow stitching projects, you know, cut into pieces. So I leave them whole for now, but these will all go together in kind of like a larger embellishment kind of thing. Same with this one. This is really pretty on its own, but it would be nice, you know, to go wrap around a corner of a small spine of a book would be really pretty. And to me, this one has like a really nice mandala, you know, sort of feel. So you could even, you know, use it in more of a bohemian style thing, like how I have this on the corner. Maybe I just used a corner of something, and it can go really, really bright colored and bohemian too. So I have a category for smaller doilies that I want to leave as embellishments. So those kind of them. And then this one can go a couple of ways. So I haven't taken it apart. This one I might want to scan even would be really pretty. And some of these other ones too, to scan them and then use them as in digital collage before I take it apart. That way I'll have it. It can be printed onto fabric then too. So before I would take anything apart of this, I want to make sure that I see what I can do with it while it's whole, because I just love all the colors of it. And it's not totally flat. It has this kind of scallop, you know, I don't know that I can block it so that it's totally flat, but I kind of don't mind that, you know, texture in a scan would be really nice. This to me is kind of screaming to be taken out separate and become an embellishment. Again, it has that kind of mandala shape to it, so it can go, you know, vintage or boho kind of thing. Same with all these little flowers. These can individually come off and be part of a nice slow stitch project too. So I'll leave it whole for now until I've scanned it and done a few things, but I just love that one. This one would also be good just for a craft project if I don't want to cut it up and use it. Maybe I do that, use what I have first. But this one would be really pretty, even just as a craft project, to attach it to a hoop with some lace and things hanging down and have it as kind of like a wall hanging in my studio too. So I love that one. And then these are some other doily pieces. Now this was torn off of something, but I like that. Has a nice open pattern to it. This again would be a beautiful one to scan, you know, and then have as a border in a digital scan. So for some fun kits, you know, to do. And then from there, it could also be a nice book cover if I want to do that. So maybe I scan it as that even, and then it ends up becoming, you know, part of a book cover. So that one is a good one to have. It would also be nice on a jelly plate for texture too. So even to, you know, leave it and use it for that. Once I've done that, unless I wash it out every time, you know, it's going to have paint on it and get stiff, but then it makes a nice stencil. So that might be good for that sort of thing. And same with this one. This is a nice texture pattern. It would be great, again, on a book. You know, anything's going to be great on a journal, but that's kind of fun. Adding some stitching in there with some slow stitching, you know, it's kind of like working on graph paper. So to have it be an under layer of a slow stitch project would be really pretty too. So this is one that will probably also get scanned and is great for texture. I have a whole batch of stuff that I got just for that. And these I didn't put in there because they're kind of still in my doily area. Again, this is another one that has a nice open weave that can be, because it's got the two sides. If I were to fold it in half and do around a book would be pretty too. Again, stenciling with it would be great because it has a nice open weave. So I'm not sure what that one could end up being in that too. So I have a few here in this pile that I think are going to be good for scans. This one, because it's a little tight I would not use that for that. But for a book, you know, on a book cover would be nice. And then also slow stitching project as a background, you know, when you have other things you can add pattern to it. This one kind of has a knit almost kind of feel to it. It's kind of stretchy. And then let's see, a couple more here. Oh, I love this one. This one and this one are similar. And I can't remember, I don't think I tea-dyed anything yet, so somebody else might have done that. I don't think I tea-dyed this. I just opened this yesterday. So this one has a fun, you know, obviously these can be screaming to be cut out and put on, you know, stamps, you know, for your journals, to slow stitching projects, but, you know, they're screaming to be cut apart. This, I don't know, you know, what would happen and what I would do with it because it's all kind of knotted together in the corners. It's almost like a macrame kind of thing. I have no idea what technique was used for this, but it's really pretty. So again, if I left it intact, it would be kind of a fun, you know, on a book too. So I don't know, we'll see. That might, you know, be a fun, you know, a part here for stencils or texture on a gel plate, you know, and then cut these apart. So I don't know, but that's just a really pretty one too. And then kind of a smaller version, but with still the little squares kind of thing. So that might be a fun one to scan too. So anyway, these are all kind of in my doily embellishment category. And then I did say that I had a whole pile. These were all large open weaves. Some things might be nice to cut apart, but some of them are just great for, look at that. How pretty is that? Now that to go in like a boho kind of a themed, you know, like when I did this kind of a journal with my bright papers, how fun would this be? You know, this pattern be on that. So I at some point, it's way down on my list, but I do have, you know, in the back of my mind, I always have a list of future projects. And one of those future projects that I've thought of is to take my own kit that I did of the bright colored painted papers and do kind of another journal that's using my kit. In my journals, in this one, I used all my original papers, but I had scanned them so I can use the kit just like the kit that you would buy on my Etsy shop. And I thought that would be fun to actually use my kit and do a whole different thing with it. And this would be really pretty to use in it. I've also thought this would be a great pattern on a gel plate, you know, because of the texture of it and how open it is. It would be so pretty to use it as a stencil. So I may have to scan this also to use in some digital collage, and then maybe even do some gel print with this. I think I have one big enough, 9 by 12 or something would be big enough maybe to capture the whole pattern. But I just love, love, love that one. And it has perfect open weave. This one also is kind of used with thick, really thick thread. And I chose this one again for the same kind of reason. Now, if you watched the other video, you know, there was a huge basket that I went through and I ended up picking, I had picked the day that I actually made my purchase of clothing and all that kind of stuff. I bought maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 pieces. But then she sent me home with that whole laundry basket. And so I went through it. And that night I picked another 65 pieces out. So I probably ended up with, I don't know, 85 pieces. I specifically was looking for certain things, and one of them were these big open patterns. And so this one normally wouldn't be my style of this big, thick thread, but I really love that pattern of it again. Again, this one and this one, these could totally go in like a bohemian kind of themed thing. And this will be great to use as kind of a stencil pattern, even to tea dye, you know, some paper and that sort of thing. So I'll do some experiments. I don't know how they'll go because I haven't done that. There were 2 of these, and so one of them I did cut apart already because maybe I want to do, I'll iron these out and, you know, they'll be nice and flat, but maybe I want those, you know, in a certain randomness on a tea stained paper or something like that, or to individually use them on a jelly plate as kind of a stencil kind of a thing. So I have got a few of those. And then once those, you know, maybe I use 1 or 2 for that. And then, you know, they're also nice embellishments for closures on a journal. And I just kind of love that more kind of bohemian style. And this was the center of it. So really like that. And then again, another wide, I need a place to put these, another wide trim, fairly wide anyway, probably 1.5 inches or so. And I just love it. Again, a nice open pattern. So this one also would be great to cut apart little bits for slow stitching, cut the circles off, cut just the leaves off, and leave this wavy part and the circles. And you see that pattern, that's really kind of neat too. So this one will also be great for, you know, doing some tea dye things onto paper, doing some gel plate, you know, pattern on it, but then just also cutting those apart for slow stitching too. So you can kind of see the progression of, you know, do this first, you know, do the scanning so that I have those in the computer for digital collage, and then go the next step, use it for that, wash it out or whatever. And then eventually at the very last thing or a section of it, use for cutting apart the little bits for slow stitching. So I love that one. Again, another one with a nice wide pattern that would be great for tea staining some paper. You could even use these, you know, kind of as a reverse stencil and spray, use your ink sprays and that sort of thing on it, knowing that you're going to end up totally changing the color of this, but that, you know, that can be a good thing too. So lots of fun. Another open one. This one obviously needs to be ironed out, but another nice open pattern. Another nice open pattern. All of these were, you know, open patterns that I could use for stencils and gel plates and that sort of thing. This one is another one screaming to be taken apart, but before I would do that, it goes to my stencil gel plate tea dye paper kind of thing. It's missing a little spot here, but that's okay. And you know, maybe I can do it. Maybe I can make a little patch fix or something if I want, but I don't even care that it's not perfect. You know, maybe I end up cutting off and just doing a strip of them, and then cutting them apart, you know, and using them individually. But I mean, it's a flower. That's just like a cute thing and would be so pretty on a slow stitch project or as an embellishment on a journal. And then here's another one, same kind of thing, screaming to be cut apart. But again, a nice open pattern, large, you know, open spaces that I can use for that. Same with this one. This one's really cute too. And I don't know what it was for, but it has little tassels on it even that I can kind of clean up and use those. But again, a nice open pattern once I have it all pressed out and that can be, you know, stenciled through or whatever. And then these two, also I did go ahead and iron these, but they had hearts on them. So they're just really cute, again, for to use as patterns. So I've got that's my category of open things for stenciling, gel plate, and that sort of thing. And then my last two categories, I get larger and larger here. My last two categories are anything that has like a corner, mostly hankies or tablecloths, that kind of thing, that has some kind of corner design that is, you know, would be really cute on a cover on a book or for slow stitching projects. And then also for the rest of the fabric. So even just, you know, tearing bits, tearing holes and then patching them like that one that I liked, you know, that sort of thing, just to give it that look. But these are all kinds of things that had some kind of decorative edge or corner that are still intact, that I will just kind of keep an eye on to use for, you know, tote bags or slow stitch projects, any kind of little thing, patching things that I want that embroidered embellishment on. But that was a real pretty one. This one was really cute, just with some sweet little flowers on it. But, you know, anything that was some cool, good kind of linen-y kind of fabric that I can rip and tear and use for slow stitching projects, little hankies with corner things. So this whole category was stuff that I can just, for the fabric and for the little corners. So corners and edges that are, you know, kind of still. This one I love. How cute is that with little birds? That would be cute on a book cover too, on a journal cover. Just little different ones. Even just these, you know, just these corners, just take the little corner off. That one. Another little tiny hand embroidered 2 corners. A couple more of these. That I love too. That's just really pretty and a nice linen-y fabric. So these were all just kind of oddball things that had some hand embroidery on it. So that was the other category. And then my last one is still kind of that. Those were more corner things. These are just larger pieces. So these were love this. And these are in great shape. I mean, this, you know, I don't decorate my house this kind of way. But these are just really pretty pieces. I thought this one folded. It just, to me, it could make 2 because there's 2 designs. You know, doing them on a tote bag. You know, this could be the flap. So I might end up, you know, it's like already done for me. But I love that one. Same kind of thing. This one also could be a great tote bag because it had two edges. I'm just gonna get the whole thing in there. 2 sides, love that. This is a big round and it's full of holes. This one's great. This one has all this just white on white embroidery all the way around. It's really pretty, but it's full of holes. So I just think that will be really cute to patch on itself, you know, just little bits to use in slow stitching. This could last a long time because it's a, you know, a pretty good size of round. So that one, another one that could be Same, has double, of course, and it's a heart. And this would be really cute to cut these little hearts out and use, but again, it also would be a nice tote bag or something too. So I'm not sure what I'll use those for. This was that other, if you watched my rust video, this is the other piece. I rusted the other one, so I think I'm going to tea stain this one just to be different and tear it up. And then this, I wish there was the hers, but it's not. There was this white cotton pillowcase that has his, but I just liked how bohemian those flowers were. So they could, you know, they would be cute patches on things just to cut, you know, the little letters out individually and to use on, you know, slow stitch or something. And then I'd have all this cotton fabric, which will be great for printing on fabric. I need to make some more of my my sticker sheets ready for printing. So that is my haul. I think that's everything. So you can see I've got it all sorted out. I need to find how I'm going to store it now, but it will make me go through and kind of incorporate it with all the rest of my stuff that I already owned so that I can kind of keep it all sorted together. But you can see this pile, and that doesn't even include all this lace. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope I gave you some ideas for if you are, you know, vintage shopping, garage selling, whatever, and you see these things and you want to buy them, but you're not really sure what you do with them. I hope I gave you some ideas about how you can use them in your junk journals and maybe other sewing and craft projects. So have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.